It's always great to see a brand that feels almost like an old friend begin to revive its failing fortunes with steps that feel pointed in the right direction. While the gaming world can be unpredictable, Xbox's revival now looks more concrete thanks to Project Helix, announced at GDC 2026, with more details on its technical capabilities coming forward at the Game Dev Update event. It's been labeled a next-generation console by none other than Chris Carla, the portfolio and program general manager. Jason Ronald was a fitting choice, then for presenting a reasonable chunk of what it's bringing to the table, what with his role as the VP of Xbox's next-generation division. That presentation brought interesting insights into how Xbox is aiming to navigate a rapidly evolving gaming landscape, and a new approach that aims to lower walls between Xbox and PC to take the first steps in a path to a new kind of ecosystem. It's a great way to give developers a single platform to work with, while allowing players to have multiple libraries in one place, and perhaps even access those libraries over multiple devices to take their games with them wherever they go. How does it manage to achieve this, while also aiming for the stars with its next-gen additions? The full picture might not be revealed to us yet, so we're going to hold off on answering those questions until there's enough information to make an informed opinion. But that doesn't mean there isn't enough of that to get some ideas into why Project Helix inspires optimism. So let's get into it, beginning with what's confirmed to be part of the new console. The officially confirmed details. There were whispers of the Xbox brand making its way to third-party devices, and that a next-gen Xbox wasn't on the table. We were delighted when Ronald confirmed that Project Helix was going to be a first-party, Microsoft-made console. That means we get Xbox as we know it, and the iconic console that has been a part of our lives for so many years will continue to endure, and perhaps even make the fight to its rivals when it eventually hits shelves, and more on that later. There's also the little matter of its player-first experience that's aimed at letting you play both Xbox and PC games on your console, making it a perfect device for your living room if you want to swap your gaming chair for your couch for special occasions or for a relaxed evening of play. It's the perfect way to bring the convenience of a console to your PC titles and make it work in tandem with services like Play Anywhere, Game Pass, backward compatibility, and the potential integration of multiple storefronts, which we're going to visit in a bit. The hardware in Project Helix is taking a similar approach, with its custom SoC that's made in collaboration with AMD. It's being designed to work with the next generation of DirectX and FSR to bring rendering and simulation capabilities that are ahead of anything on offer today. Aside from the obvious need to improve graphical fidelity and performance via an upgraded chip, the custom AMD SoC isn't being designed with a single console in mind, but for a family of silicon that's going to help developers create optimized versions of a variety of devices with relative ease. That's an important step in building that ecosystem that Ronald spoke about, while also letting it be the next-gen console that Carla described it as. Project Helix isn't just a console generation, but a shared vision of collaboration between Xbox, Windows, and AMD, all of which are prominent presences in modern gaming. It's easy to see why we're erring on the side of optimism as far as Project Helix is concerned. Now, of course, the new hardware must translate to better performing software, and the promise of an order of magnitude improvement in ray tracing is next on our list. Of course, that raises questions about whether path tracing, or at least a working version of it, could be made more feasible on consoles. We'd say yes, considering factors like improved neural upscaling and frame generation. There's also the new ray regeneration technique that favors the efficient use of reconstruction or regeneration to make better lighting systems both feasible and power efficient on Project Helix. Another interesting detail was the GPU's ability to generate its own workloads in real time, allowing it to present more dense worlds without relying on the CPU to feed it the information it needs. We look at this as an impressive way of using every bit of available juice on the console, and a boost to open world titles, which you probably know are our kryptonite. We expect to see better procedural geometry, complex simulations, and generally more reactive worlds if this one works as intended. Neural-assisted rendering is going to be a boon to those worlds, and its confirmation is great news for Project Helix's ray or path tracing capabilities. in addition to giving it a boost to image upscaling and frame generation. All of that could mean that graphical fidelity and smooth performance are going to be working hand in hand as well as they've ever been to give you a console that doesn't force you to compromise between the two. Now, while we're on the subject of graphical fidelity, good-looking games do get quite large as far as their file size is concerned. However, Ronald's showcase of deep texture compression, which listed neural texture compression and direct storage plus ZSTD, might not seem too important at first glance, considering all of the other features that we've spoken about, but it's going to be mightily helpful in keeping Project Helix's memory requirements in check, with efficient hardware usage for optimal results. Streaming assets directly from the SSD to the GPU is definitely a good idea to make a gaming system more memory sensitive, after all. Last but not least on this list of confirmed details is the very exciting news that alpha hardware kits are going out to developers in 2027, which could mean a late 2027 launch, although 2028 is a more realistic timeline. We've learned that patience is always the better option in the gaming world, and we wouldn't mind waiting for a console that truly feels next-gen. Of course, we're going to be eagerly looking out for new information while we wait and hope for official confirmations of a few things that are yet to be addressed. To be confirmed. Let's begin with Xbox mode on the ROG Xbox Ally and the potential for it to be a trial run for what Project Helix's OS could look and feel like when it finally takes the stage. It's a showcase of how Xbox could be approaching the integration with PC games, with its Xbox-themed take on Windows 11, teaching it to function better as a living room console experience in order to better convince its target customers to be favorable towards a PC-like Xbox. Xbox mode is already rolling out to PCs in select markets, and we're quite curious to see how Project Helix integrates itself into the new approach. There's also the question of how backward compatibility is going to work in such a scenario, with Microsoft's commitment to sustaining compatibility with 4 generations of playable Xbox titles, and Sarah Bond's assertion that it aims to maintain compatibility with existing Xbox libraries. How are older games going to be handled on Project Helix, and what could it do to improve them? Are they going to be natively compatible with it, or perhaps use cloud-based streaming? The goalpost is in sight, but Xbox is yet to reveal Project Helix's path to it. Now, this is a great time to talk about the potential additions of multiple storefronts, a facet of Project Helix that isn't officially confirmed, but is looking quite likely thanks to Microsoft's own statement about wanting the Xbox experience to avoid being locked to a single store. When you remember that the ROG Ally devices already run Steam, the notion that Project Helix is going for a broader gamut of storefronts seems likely, although we'd still wait for an official announcement on the subject. Another interesting detail is the mention of positron and disk-to-digital on the Xbox PC app. We've no information on what positron is at the moment, but the name disk-to-digital suggests that Xbox could be mulling on ways to convert physical copies of games into digital licenses. It could be a solid way to encourage digital adoption among owners of physical copies of games, but once again, an official confirmation is yet to be made. There are also rumors of some pretty fancy silicon from AMD being a part of Project Helix, but the rumors and leaks that should be taken with a pinch of salt. However, we will admit that the claims about a Zen 6 or Zen 6C CPU cores has us rather hopeful about them being true. And the same goes for claims about RDNA 5 class graphics, dedicated AI and NPU hardware, and a massive GPU spec. They're still rumors though. The potential price of Project Helix is also an area of speculation that we'd like to see cleared up. Everything that's been said about it points to a premium console that is not going to come cheap, its ambitions directly pushing it up into the higher price brackets that we may not like. But if that price is justified by a serious bump in firepower, Project Helix is sure to find its takers. There's a lot more that we don't know about Xbox's upcoming stab at redemption in the console space, which includes what it's going to be called, its design, the date it launches, and the titles it launches with, its approach to a disk drive, and its performance targets in addition to all of what we've already discussed. We'd say that the curtain has only begun to rise on Helix's story, with its first act being a showcase of its technical capability before Xbox ramps things up with more revelations down the line. Well, we're glued to our seats and cannot wait for this particular journey to unfold in the coming months.
And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.